welcome you to the channel. I got a lot of information I'll share with you. Most of your videos, live threshold, how far the candle will pull back before resuming. The price action trend, you just need to be able to count to 10. The price action method, I use the majority principle, which states that the minority is compelled to follow. The chart scale, so I teach you how to use your heart right edge so you don't have to look left and you can know where the market is going to turn from. All right, really simple. All right, so on yesterday, first let me blow this up and then we'll dive through all the different time frames here. Let me blow this up. All right, so yesterday on that video, we ended here. Price was here, 511. So they had came up with the green bar. Clearly, they had took that bar. I told you that, them coming under the bar with both signals, so the circle as well as the triangle, inside the circle. That's important, really significant here. I forget to mention to you guys on yesterday, I did put it under the video, but these circles, whenever they come in, oftentimes you're going to get a rotation. That's all. And so you can trade with them if they won't close out the back of the bar. That's the only thing. So, but when the circle pops up with the triangle, it's really important, all right? Most significant. And I did this yesterday to kind of outline to you what they had going on. I did it today, but I did it on all time frames, so that way you don't have to wait for me to show it to you. But yeah, so the green bar here in the last, yesterday's video, the last bar that was traded was here in yesterday's video, and I told you guys my private community know why they were going to take this out. All right, so if you would like to be a part of that, you're more than welcome. If not, I totally understand. There's enough free information here to get you on your way. All right, but if you want to know why we know that they should blow right back through this, trust me, it's important. And they turned around and they managed to do just that. All right, so they came down, they punched it. All right, they punched right through it. Now I did mark from, I would say the London session, if you will, the overnight, a little bit of that, so you can kind of get an idea of what was going on with these signals before it showed up. All right, and so it was like after 3 o'clock here. Here's your signals. You can kind of just take a look at it. And again, you do not want them to close outside of any of these signals, but definitely primarily the one with the circle and the triangle. You don't want them doing that. That's bad. All right, so, but here are the signals from the overnight. And then, of course, this morning, you had a bit of a confluence once they hit this zone. All right, so this morning, let's say 8:33, it started itself. 8:33 on the 1 minute chart here, you had a bit of a confluence with the signal, and so I put a little green zone there so you can kind of see it. It was on the 5 minute and the 15. Kind of all of them happened at the same time. So let me just scroll back here. So you had the circle with the triangle, you had the circle with the triangle, you had the circle with the triangle, and they dove down, really nasty business there, and then managed to pop up. And this is the 15 minute here. All right, and that's your 5 minutes. So they dove down really sharp, and then they popped back up. All right, so I just want you to kind of just take that in. That's all. Just take it in. Matter of fact, that was at the 8:30. I'm sorry, 8:30. That was right around that news. So yeah, 8:30 they managed to do just that. All right, and then of course they ended up coming back, and that's that that wick activity there right around that 9:30 mark. They dove back down. Okay. And then they build themselves to try to get back up. And then they came in with that signal up there on that high and they closed beneath that bar. First, they ran under it really crazy there. You can see that big wick. Came back up, and then that's when they came back down. The arrows are definitely preferred if you can't get the circle with the arrow. So if you can't get them both together in tandem, please more so rely on the direction of the arrow. All right, just try to go ahead and go with that. The circle again is meant to let you know a rotation is near. All right, so and for those that have the indicator suite and are a part of the private community, when you see the circle, just reference your map. Okay, use that information there. All right, so and they turned around, and here they come here with this 8:57 signal. All right, so at that 8:30 mark, okay, right around that 8:33 mark, you had them kind of lock in here, and that kind of created that back and forth, if you will, on that 5 minute before they ended up turning the corner. And so the 5 minute gave you your signal off the top. They dove back up trying to test that. Gave you another one. They climbed all the way to the back of that, so you can look up there at the top of the chart here, up in the upper left-hand corner. You have 929. I'm sorry, 229. So 29 to 29. You got the high here at 2 228.25. So they came right under that. Remember, you do not want them to close outside of this bar. And then they put one on this side, which was interesting, but nevertheless, they turned it back around, gave you one, gave you one. Here's one, and they're down here. They dove under this one. They closed beneath it. That's bad. They testing back up, and so they're coming in with another one here. All right, so they're giving you another one there. They came into this low and drove up through the back of it, but then leaned over and then they closed above. They begin to climb. All right, so there's the circle. Is rolling it back over. All right, so the circle is meant to help you with that. That's all, just meant to help you with that. Is it perfect? No. So here's your circle here on the 5 minute. It's trying to roll it back over. The hourly has those signals as well. So the top of this bar on the hourly, when they jumped up, all right, so the top of the bar again, look up here in the upper left hand corner. The high of that is 303. All right, and again, that's both signals working in tandem. You got the triangle as well as the circle. All right, little arrow with the circle. All right, they dove up there, jumped up there, high 296. All right, so now let's get that again. 303. Even this bar here, you don't want them closing outside these bars. 292. And then this one jumped up just above that bar again, not closing and definitely not triggering the stop here on this hourly. And there's your move down. Now for tomorrow, I want to give you some more information here. Being that they're doing this, they could reach down a little bit lower. They could. Now what we're going to do is we're going to say, because I told you guys on yesterday, because they had dove down here, and I believe we were coming. I was talking to you guys on this bar, if I'm not mistaken, but they had dove down to the back of this bar, and you can look at the low here at 359.75. That low here was 369. Okay, so they came in just above it, begin to drive back up, trying to create that high. And I told you if they close under here, now remember that big spike that was on. Remember that big spike that was on this 1 minute when that video ended. All right, that was them running that bar, but then they pop right back up. All right, so let's go back and take a look real quick. All right, so on the 1 minute, if you go back into yesterday's video. I don't want to go too far. Where are we at here? In yesterday's video, we ended here. All right, so we ended here. And I did tell you they would come back. You can go back in yesterday's video. I told you they'll come back there. That shouldn't work. So what they did was once they clipped that bar up here on that high, they spiked that low on that hourly bar. They spiked it and then reversed back up. Okay, and they tried to go back up there to that high, but it didn't work. So they couldn't get it to hold. They couldn't get it to hold and it dropped down again. All right. So now, oh yeah, they're coming in quite quite aggressively on this push down here. So you got a couple more coming into this this push down. All right. So you got a couple more here going into that. So yeah. So they went under that bar, came back up really crazy, but then turned it around. Now remember, I told you don't let them close under this bar, and they did just that, and then that began this move down. So what do we have? So now let's look at the high of this bar here. 228.25. 228.25. Let's put this here because we're going to be looking at tomorrow. Let's say 228.25. So we're going to go 29, 228.25. All right. So let's try to see. Just see. Let's see and make sure that's right. 29, 228.25. Yes. All right. So now let's just go ahead and lock this. All right. Let's see if they can stay beneath this price without closing back above it. All right. Now, should that happen, let me go ahead and just take this off because I think they may achieve this. I told you don't want them to close beneath here, and I think they just may be able to pull this off today. I'm gonna just leave that price there, but I'm gonna take this zone off. All right. Let me just take this zone. I'm gonna move this down. I think they'll achieve this, so we're gonna come back tomorrow and talk about it. So 228.94, 994. Okay, so let me just lock that. I think they'll achieve it. We're gonna take the zone off because I think they're gonna pull that off today. Let's see if they can keep below that 29 to 28.25. Let's see if they can keep below that and get down here. Once they get here, let's see if they will not close beneath let's say 28,487.50. I'm gonna be honest, they get here, you may have a problem because they have this little gap situation back here. I just saw it when I pulled it up. They got a little situation back here, and of course you got the bar here with everything on it. You really just don't want them doing that. But I do suspect there's a little bit more to the downside here. And again, this is not random. All right. So you think about when I brought the video to you guys on Sunday to talk about Monday. All right. Just think about that. I brought it to you on Sunday to talk about Monday. All right. Monday's closing. I told you in the overnight, I doubt that they would do much, but they could, gap up if they wanted to. And I even told you that that price up there at that 29,750, I doubt that they would close at it, even though, if they wanted to keep continuing up, that's potentially where they were headed. And I even said to you that they left something back here and they need to come get it. And so it was like the information that I told you on yesterday with the with that swing, with that pivot. I said, hey, they'll come back past this. So I hope you guys are able to benefit from what it is that I'm sharing. Again, we're approaching 12 o'clock. Again, there's your signal, and they're going to keep going. That's all. They're going to keep going. So with this coming in like this, and it's fairly early, I said I would come back at 2 o'clock, but I just figured let's go ahead and get you ahead of this because it definitely could end up down here, possibly lower. I told you it got something going on back here, but we'll just see. We'll see where it goes. But now you won't want to watch this price, all right? Because I told you on yesterday, don't let them close beneath this bar, and they did that, all right? So now let's see if we can keep them below this 29 to 28 and a quarter. All right, so for those that don't know how to read the market, I'm gonna help you go ahead and kind of get that going. All right, so let me just put this here because they had one here. Let me go ahead and help you get that going so you can understand how to do things. All right, it's really simple. It's not complicated. We went over this yesterday. So whenever you have the price activity, all right, you got the live candle. That's the live candle moving. All right, with that mid, if it falls into that prior candle, expect that can go on for about 4 hours. That's all on this time frame, 4 hours or 4 bars, depending on whatever time frame you're currently looking at. Just kind of know that that can happen. Just kind of know that that can happen. And again, these signals, they're a combination. I want to definitely say this. They're a combination of this indication here and that one there. They can be a single or a 2 bar plot. They can be either. All right. So it's see like here on the hourly, it's already there. It can be a single or a 2 bar plot. Sometimes it can come in on 2 or 1. So for the most cases, it's 1. All right, I just want to tell you that most cases it's 1, it's not 2. But I do want to go ahead and just set that in front of you and let you know sometimes it can be 2. All right, but yes, the market, it just performs in a very simple manner. What makes for the bar color here? I'm going to explain it to you. If you're trying to go up, okay, well, let's do down on this side. If you're trying to go down, this live bar that's moving, jumping up and down, you just want the mid of that bar to fall below that candle. Right? So you just want it to drop down below that candle. Once it does that, this bar will turn red with my indicator, and there's a little pressure that'll come on if it actually takes place. There it is. It's coming on. So what will happen? This will turn red, and so you would just put the stop there, and then here's what you would do. You would go for the distance. Okay, so the market always telling you what it's willing to do. It's like you and I. It has a mind of its own. It's going to do what it wants to do. When you have something on your mind, you know the end. So the market has that function itself. It's a moving mechanism of choice. That's all it is. And so the mechanics of the market is based on a principle. And I do want you to understand that the majority principle is what's happening. All right. And that's all you're trading. You're trading a place of decisions. And so if this mid gets above that high, the bar turns green. All right. So it turns green. Is it perfect? No. It's not perfect, but it's just a way of knowing that you're no longer in chop, all right? And then it should go that far, all right? So then it should go that far. And it's just that simple. Now, that's one way of looking at it. Here's your other way. I'm not going to hold you much longer here. You got to get a big wick, a smaller wick, all right? You got to get this to show up. If you can't find that, the next thing I want you to find is this. Find a bar that can fit inside of this bar at least twice. All right. You will likely get 2 of these scenarios. If not, you will end up with at least 3. All right. If you can get all 3, you're just doing wonderful. This would be all 3. All right. So this would be all 3. What is it telling us that it's willing to do? We just talked about this. All right. We talked about it here. All right. I know it's getting ready to bang its head up against those signals, but this is what I want you to know about the market. Is it safe to go up? Well, you'll be the judge of that. I'm just going to tell you what's likely. It's saying that it could possibly get up there, right? And that's what it has on its mind, that it want to reach that far. Then it very much could do that if it wants to go that far. Now, remember, this is a combative environment. All right? I just want to tell you that it's two parties at work here. All right. And here's another thing I want you to consider. Don't do like I did. When you come into this field, don't think that you're getting sectioned off with beginners or intermediates. The moment you start trading, you're interacting with professionals. All right, so I want you to kind of get that understood. Here's another benchmark that you can kind of set in front of yourself. When you first start this, try to get $99.21. That's $2,000 a month. Don't try too hard, okay? First, try to get something that's simple, something that's easy, nothing complicated. The last bar, that little teeny bar that they just made, had $275 in it. All right, so start at $99.21. And should you ever want to make $1,000,000, you can go ahead and shoot for $3,968.26 if that's your goal. All right, so if you want to make a million in a day, well, a year, you would have to do $3,968.21 a day. All right, so if you want to make a million, you're more than welcome to it. But please try to start at that $99.21. It's really important that you set something that's simple, something that's not hard to do, and let the market, reward you appropriately. All right, so don't try to overstay your welcome if you can't. All right, so those are the things that I want you to look for. Very simple stuff. Three things that I want you to just try to keep in mind. Now, if you're not, familiar with targeting and all that, because that's, again, just something that I've been doing for quite some time, and I'm trying to make available to those that's here. If you're not familiar with it, I want to tell you how the market can turn. When you look at your chart, and I don't care how big the chart is, it can be, small like this, or it can be full screen, whichever one you prefer. I want you to do this. Find the center of your chart, which is here. All right, just find the center of your chart, which is here. All right, now I'm gonna try to talk to you a little bit and see can I get up here. If you're beneath the center of the chart, it's a good chance that you'll roll back over. Now here's the other thing I want you to think about. I want you to take the chart, the bezel, all right, the bezel. This is your bezel, your hard right edge. You don't have to look left. You can look right here at your hard right edge. So this is your hard right edge of your chart. What's going to happen here will inevitably end up on the left side of your chart. I know a lot of traders like to look left. Well, you don't have to do that. I'm going to teach you not to do that. All right. So the next thing that you will want to do, get your center. All right. So this is a estimation, if you will. All right. Now, the next thing I want you to do is locate the lower portion of the chart. So the next half of the chart, which will be roughly here. All right. So let's color this. Let's color this so it don't get mixed into what we got here. If it's okay, I'm about to say don't take too long. All right, so let's go in here and just kind of put this here. We would like to keep them below here. That's the preferred way of going about it. If we could, and we're not in control of the experience, they are, so they can say, hey, no, we actually gonna go a lot higher than that. So okay, here's your signal here on the 15-minute chart. Don't let them close back above this bar. All right. Again, single bar, or sometimes it can be sometimes it can be a 2-bar plot. All right, so here we go. And then divide the upper half of your chart. Now we know it shouldn't wind up way back up here. At least I don't believe that that's going to be the case. I can be absolutely wrong, but I don't believe that that's going to be the case. So somewhere in between where it's currently operating at and where it's turning from, they could end up possibly higher, but yet still leaning back towards this particular bottom here. So now let's mark this because we got it showing up on our 5-minute. All right, so we got it showing up on our 5-minute. So we got to just see what becomes of that. I'm not going to be up here, but they're halfway, which is pretty good. It's pretty good. Now again, I'm going give or take here. This is not perfect. I want you. All right, so that's right about there. I want you to just begin to do that. And that's how you read your hard right edge. See that slight rotation there? It may not be much. Again, the last bar had $285 in it. Remember, $99.21. So try not to take in too much information. You don't have to look left. You don't have to go really far outside the frame. All right, you don't have to do that. It gave us yet another scenario of saying that it can go further. So that definitely would end up putting them up here. All right. Threshold. So let me tell you about that because I forgot to mention that. All right, so usually this is how it works. You get a bar that will print. All right, we're not even here yet with this scenario yet. Usually you get a bar that will print. Now I don't have the threshold on the bars because I'm not here to do all that. I just want to give you some information. But typically the next candle that's starting, so this one right here, once it starts, most of the time it'll lean back, okay, and then it'll take off. So you're looking roughly at right about, let's just say a little outside of half of that candle. All right, let's just go with that. You're looking for them to kind of pull into that prior candle and then take off. Right? That's how far is too far. So if they go, let's just go again a little bit more than half outside of that. You don't want them to climb too far into that candle. It can create a whole nother experience. All right, I just want to go ahead and tell you that. So that's all the free information on the channel. I do hope that you find this information well. Again, we're looking at 29 to 28 and a quarter. See, can we keep them below that to keep this market down all the way down to that to 28 4 87.50. I think they're going to get there. I'm gonna be honest. I'm just going to tell you the truth. Because I did tell you guys that it's how they would build themselves. Once they got at that 28,994, they're not building themselves to turn around. They're actually accelerating. So this will be interesting. I wish you all the best with your trading. Take care.